Yeah, hi, very warm welcome to everyone. So, very good evening. Let's start with our session. Thank you so much for joining the session on time. I'm really appreciating all of you. So, I'm sharing my screen. Let's set the agenda of the today's session and a very quick recap of the services, like whatever the contents we have already covered within in our cloud platform. So, we have covered with the very basics, cloud computing. Then we understood Microsoft Entra ID, all that everything hierarchy and all that factors we have already understood, all the options which are responsible for authentication, for authorization. Then we understood the computing services, availability set, availability zones, resource lock. Resource lock is still pending. It's a matter of just only 2 minutes explanation. I will do it today. Azure policies, RBAC rules, NSG is still there. NSG I will be covering in the networking services. So today, actually, I supposed to start with the networking services, but if you could see that in the networking services it's a very big module. So I don't want any discontinuation in between because on Wednesday we don't have any lectures. So what I think that I just want to start with the Azure storage service today. We are able to cover this Azure storage service today itself. Then afterwards, tomorrow I will start with the networking part. Okay, from tomorrow onwards, we will start with the networking. Or yeah, that's fine. Tomorrow we will, because in the networking we have to discuss so many things like application gateway, firewall. Then we have to discuss Bastion is done. Then we have to take this load balancer, application gateway, front door service, traffic manager. So that deployments and understanding this will take some time. Peering service, DNS service, all that explanations will take some time. So minimum 6 lectures are required in order to understand the networking. So today I will be starting with the Azure storage service. Then afterwards we will move with the PaaS services, then SQL databases. Then we will be talking about the security, backup monitoring, and finally we will be ending with the Azure DevOps. Okay,
So before moving forward, I need to ask two questions.
sure. Please go ahead.
I was creating that VM scale set, and I am not getting that auto scaling box to click. It was not showing me that I could not click that box to create that auto
Yes,
scaling.
ma'am. Actually, this is also my issue. Same here.
Auto scaling, you were not able to create
Yeah,
a.
there are three options. Both options were okay. I can click there, but the auto scaling we cannot click that checkbox. Why I don't know. So
And ma'am, in addition to this also, when we go to the network, I was unable to add any network because it was showing like you have to create resource, but I have already created.
Okay, no problem. So what we could do, let me just finish my content today. Then you could stay on the call. You could share your screen. Definitely, I will troubleshoot.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay,
Priya.
one more thing. I
Yeah.
will share at the end, but one more thing I need to. I was also creating that virtual machine from that command prompt, and there
Mhm.
it was showing me an error that DS1-V2 is not available in East US region. So, is there some storage that it will not provide in some specific region? Is there some that type of issue that error was reflecting me, right?
That could be. That could be because in free tier accounts, there you are not supposed to create resources in all of the regions.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, according to the subscription, there will be some limitations, and sometimes it do happens because there could be some resources restriction as well. Some of the services are not available in specific regions. That could also be the
So
scenario.
I need to change the region, or I need to change that storage
But
capacity.
no, no, no. First change the region.
Hmm.
First change the region. And still, maybe if the other region you are selecting that is also not available, then you have to change the SKU as well. So first, just change the region.
Okay.
Change the region. So
O-
don't worry, you could share your screen at the end. I will have a look at this.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, one more thing I just want to share with you. I will be sharing all these documents post my session. It's already being shared with you in the custom demos, but this is for your quick reference. How to create your Windows virtual machine and how to install the web server role. And this is comprising of everything, how to take the RDP, everything is there. So if you want to customize your index.html file, because by default, what is coming, the default page of IIS web server role. If you want to customize, you could also do this. This is about how to create Azure free tier accounts. Already I have provided you the demonstration, but still, if some of the participants they have not tried out with this, you just follow with the documentation. Everything I have documented, how to create this step by step, everything you will be getting. AWS also I have created how to create the free tier account. Okay, so AWS also, I have provided everything how to create, and this is the document. Could you please keep allow me only one moment? Just only one more. Yeah, I'm really very sorry actually for this disruption. That there was an urgent call. I need to just pick this up. Okay. Coming back to this, yeah, I was discussing about all the docs. So you could also refer to this AWS EC2 instance, how to create this and how to connect through the MOBA Extra. Everything I have documented, you could just refer to this. In this example, I have taken Amazon Linux, but this is up to you. You could take any of the virtual machine, how to create key value pair and how to enable this public IP address. It should be at least in one of the VPC, then afterwards, security groups. So then coming to the number of the instance you want to launch, then you could view and check the status if this virtual machine is running, up and running, and then how to connect through the mobile external. If someone is using Mac, then you could go with the item. Item is similar, that is user friendly, just like mobile extra. So in that case, you could go with the item. I have provided all the steps how to download the mobile extra. Please go with the free edition Then you have to just click on the session, select the SSH, provide your PEM file, your private key, which was downloaded in your local system or whatever the remote storage. Then once this establishment is done, I have also provided this how to connect using the putty tool. Because see, actually in the AWS, when you are creating a key pair value, the reason is the issue is because if you're going with the putty, you have to convert that into the PPK format into the PEM format with the putty j. So you have to install that or everything you have to install. So I have provided all these prerequisites. Then coming to this, I have provided step by step how to load your private file. Then after this PEM file, you will be importing. So then just you need to click on this save. No need to provide the passphrase and all that. Just click on save private key. Afterwards, after saving this, you could review your public IP address, go to the AWS console, put your public IP address here, and afterwards you could connect. Then one more thing you have to do. So this is EC2 user because we are using Amazon Linux. So by default, for all the RHEL, Fedora, CentOS, Amazon Linux distributions, EC2 user is the default user. Then you will be connected to the Amazon. Then you could check for this, do the ping operation. I will be sharing each and everything, all the documents with you. Actually, in the other batch, I have created all this document, so I thought you to share with you as well. Okay, so if you want to access WSL, if you want to access your operating system through the WSL, which is already a feature, a facility provided by Windows 11. So in Windows 11, you don't need to install Oracle VirtualBox, you don't need to install hypervisors. So already there is Windows subsystem for Linux is there. You could simply run this WSL install command. There is two methods. You could go with the GUI, take that ISO file from the Microsoft Store. This is one way. Or the another way is then you have to search for this Ubuntu. That's all. Then the second method is go with the command line. In the command line, just open your PowerShell and whatever you have to install, WSL install and this D. So you want to provide your distribution, your Linux distribution. So for example, I am taking this Ubuntu. Afterwards, you could run this command to see that version which are provided there. And in the Microsoft Store, there is no CentOS, there is no RHEL distribution because that was an enterprise version. So in that cases, you could also create your own images. So what exactly you have to follow the steps. That was also documented, but somewhere also I have written, just give me a minute.
We have not received this CLI command.
No, I have shared this CLI commands, everything I have shared. It's okay, I will check it again. I will check it again. Coming back to this, so first you have to install the distribution, the tar file you have to, the binary ISO file you have to install. Then afterwards, you need to provide the location and then you could provide this. You could import this from your path to the tar file to the Microsoft Store. Then afterwards, you have to follow this. You could install directly from this custom. Just follow these official documentations and you will able to understand. After that, you have to run this executable. So that's all you have to do. Then simple, you have to launch the PowerShell. In the PowerShell, you could create this. This all screenshots has been attached. WSL install. Then after this WSL will be there. Now whatever the version, whatever the image you have installed, like Ubuntu or Kali Linux, Debian, whatever you have installed, you could search for this, and it will be prompting you for a password. You have to create a username and the password. Once you log in successfully, you could also switch to the root user as well. Then finally, whatever the commands you want to execute, you could do this. Then where exactly to check this WSL workspace? So if you go to your D drive, your Explorer, your Windows Explorer, just search for this. Okay, so it will be providing you the path of WSL. So once you will be inside this WSL, just go to this. You will be looking at this Ubuntu. Go to the Ubuntu in the home directory. It will be creating that directory or whatever you have created, the files, everything will be there. These are the rest of the commands which you could do that. Shut down, you want to reset the password. So everything you could do with this WSL. So I will be sharing this documentation as well. This is also one of the document which I have created for you. Oracle VirtualBox. Because I told you there are different ways to access the virtual machine Linux distribution. One way is if you are using Windows 11, you could go with the WSL. Second way is in your local system, you could install Oracle VirtualBox and then add your Linux distributions. Third way is directly you could go to the cloud and provision that virtual machine. Choice is completely up to yours, but I'm just providing you the different ways how to access. I provided the URL from where you could download. Just follow the steps. Okay, everything is documented. You just need to follow the steps. And afterwards, once you install this successfully, for example, you have to add this CentOS image. Okay, you want to work on the CentOS, you want to create CentOS operating system, your virtual machine. So you could install this, whatever the version you want to go with this. It's not mandatory that you have to go with the CentOS 7. You could go with any of the image. You have to install, download this ISO image. Afterwards, you need to follow these steps. Just only your date and time, all the customizations, language support, then it will be adding a network, it will be adding a drive. So the disk will be added. Just go with the default settings. Don't change anything. Go with the default settings. Then you could create your username, your password, your root password, and your username and password. Then you could log in with the user. So you could follow this documents. I will be sharing all these documents post this session. Now coming back to this, if you recall, in the last lecture, I have shared some case studies with you. So very quickly, I will be providing you the solutions. Then we will be moving with our next module because the storage account is also a big one. Okay, so that was exactly the case study one. That case study one will be from the governance solution. In the governance solution, we talked about the tailwind traders. So there was two ways you have to think about: cost and accounting, new development project. So exactly, they will be having two business units, apparel, and they will be having sporting goods. Then there are three departments inside this two business units: product development, marketing, and sales. So both this will be having the same departments. Now, at the same time, the enterprise team, they have to also think about the cost reporting. In the new development project, so they want to ensure that all the costs are captured and they will be working on the lower cost virtual machines. So this is also non-compliance. Now, if I talk about the solution, so this could be the solution for this case study. I'm so sorry, I'm not discussing with you. I'm not asking you to provide your solutions. due to lack of time, because we have to cover a lot lack of contents. If you are ready with your solutions, that's very great. You could post your solutions in the chat if you are ready with your solutions for the case study. So first of all, this is the default one. This is the default one, tenant root group. Inside the tenant root group, you could go with this management group. Okay. Then again, you could create the management group for two business units. So this is also one management group. This is also one management group. This is also one management group. Now you could go with either you could create this resource group, product development, marketing, sales, resource group. Inside this resource group, you could create your subscriptions like subscription 1, subscription 2, subscription 3, because you have to track, right? So there will be the different cost which is associated with each department. Now inside this, yeah, what you could use, which service you could use for tracking the cost, which functionality you are going to use to track the cost?
Subscription.
Oh, subscription is obviously there. This is the billing boundary. So in order to track the cost, you should also add the Azure tags. Tags is also used for the billing taxonomy. So if you are providing your proper tags, so it's very easy for the another person or maybe for the CFO. In our case, there is a CFO who want to track what is the cost associated with each of the department, with each of the management groups. Now again, there will be a policy which you could add, because it don't want to invest on the it only want to invest on the journal purpose virtual machine. The SKU will be cost effective. Then you could also create your Azure policies for the compliance, so that no one could provision the resources which are out of the budget, because you have already provided only the journal purpose. Only the journal purpose B tier will be used. That means B series will be used. Only that SKU virtual machine will be used. This is one way. Could you think that what could be the second way? Because there could be multiple solutions. Could you please help me with the different solution? Yeah, what could be the different solution, please? No one. So in the real time also, you need to think about this only perspective. So as a cloud engineer or as an infrastructure engineer, you are expected to provide the solutions. Even you are going for the solution architect, you have to think about in this way only. So there could be multiple solutions. Okay, so your solution should be cost effective and it should be strictly according to your use case, your scenario, and according to the company requirements. Now, the second option is, this is my second solution. In the second solution, you could also create the management groups for the product, for the marketing, for the sales. We could also create the management groups. Now, inside this, you could create a resource group. You could create a resource group, and afterwards, afterwards, you could attach the subscriptions, right? You could add the multiple subscriptions. So this is one of the way, and this is second solution. You could go with any of the solution. So we discussed management groups. We have discussed subscription. Then we have also taken resource group, Azure policies, and then tag. Okay. We have taken everything.
And the
Uh,
management group should be kept at least means minimum, right? We should not create a management groups in huge numbers, right?
yes, yes.
I mean, it is preferable or what? Because I
Yeah,
have
yeah, it's preferable. It's preferable. So, see, because management groups will be created, there are some restrictions. You can't go 6 levels depth beyond this number. You can't exceed 10,000 units in a subscription. But management group's purpose is to effectively handle your subscriptions, your multiple subscriptions in your Azure account. So, if you are having multiple subscriptions, then you could create different management groups. But if there are less subscriptions, go with some small number of management groups. And the second categorization is it could be on the basis of the division, it could be on the basis of your branch, it could be on the basis of your geographical location as well. So that's completely dependent on your use cases, whatever the scenarios have been provided. Yes, you should make it minimum.
okay.
Okay. Now, coming to this second case study. The second case study was from the authentication and authorization. We discussed about tenant, we discussed about B2B, B2C tenant, and we have seen that conditional access, multi-factor authentication, self-service password reset. We have seen everything. Now, it has acquired Tailwind Traders. They will be merging with some other organizations. They have some merger acquisitions. So they want to add 75 employees to the Tailwind Traders, and they are already having on-prem accounts in their existing domain. So this is something which it's stressing out here. Then it's also providing you the new employees will be at the different geographical locations. So that means you want to provide some account privileges for the new job roles. So some changes obviously will be expected in the authorization as well, because there will be a new employees, that will be new user identities will be added. So new roles will be required. Then coming to this new application access, I will come to this new application access, but first let me explain the solution for this. So this is the solution for the first scenario, new user account. Let me also write it here. New user account. Okay. So this is the Microsoft Enter ID. If you could see that this is the default directory. This is the default directory of my Tailwind traders, in the default directory, because they will be having acquisition, they will be having merger with some other client, with some other retail client. Now, they don't want to give access to their default directory, maybe due to some security reasons. Now, they will be creating B2B tenant for them. So, this is business to business. Whenever there is a word merger, acquisition, vendors, you could directly go with the B2B. So, this is for the marketing partners. This is the tenant for the marketing partners. Now, why this conditional access is required? Because I want to restrict on the basis of geographical locations. On the basis of geographical locations, I want to restrict the access. Multi-factor authentication is obviously, this is by default for everyone for the security reasons. Apart from your credentials, you have to provide some authentication code which is coming to your mails, or it's coming to your mobile numbers as well. Then coming to this, you are also checking for some like maybe risky users, some risky sign in. So then for that scenarios, you could also go with the identity protection. Access reviews is mostly used for it acts actually it will be checking all the it will be reviewing all the access which is provided at some intervals of time. So it could be at the weekly, it could be quarterly, it could be your yeah, it could be weekly, quarterly, or yearly, it could be anything. So you have to provide the reviewers who will review the access. Mostly it's in the scenarios, for example, one person is serving the notice period and he's still having the access, or some person has already left the organization and you want to access the review. This is the role of the administrator. Then if you could see that this is my on-prem, because I told you this is already mentioned in the case study. In the on-prem, they are also already having their user identities. They will be having their on-prem accounts. So that means this is the on-prem account for my new acquisition, new merger company, whatever the retailer company, they will be already having their own setup. So where they will be using that services, Windows controller. Okay, so that they will be using Active Directory, domain controller. So you have to merge, because whenever there is a merger, so no need to create the new user identities. You could directly create that sync. So how you will be syncing? With the help of Microsoft Entra ID Connect. With the help of this Microsoft Entra ID Connect. Now, once you enable this option, all the user identities will be synced from on-prem to my default directory in the cloud for the Tailwind traders. And this is my Active Directory domain services, your Windows controller that is used for the authentication of your on-prem user identities. Now coming to the next scenario. In the next scenario, this is for my application access. Now in this application access, it is saying that my development team has running my application on Azure VM and data is stored in the SQL database. Now they want to allow the VM to query the SQL database, but they also need on-prem server to securely access the SQL database without storing the credentials. That means you don't want to hard code. No hard coding will be done in your application code or the configuration files, because this is not secure. If you are hard coding your API keys, if you are hard coding your credentials, your username, password, this is not the correct way. So what you have to do, you have to bring the process where it will be bringing the acquired user accounts, adding the new partner accounts, and what are the tools you could add. Okay, so you have to provide everything for this to the new application access. So this application, you also want to provide the access on the on-prem resources. Now coming to the solution, this is the solution for the new application access. Few of the things we have not discussed, but that's completely fine. We will be discussing in our upcoming session. New application access solution. So first of all, if you could look at this, it's my on-prem. It's my on-prem because my on-prem is also, they also want to access the application. And where is my application? This is complete my Azure account, right? In my Azure account, this is complete my default directory. This is completely my default directory for the organization. This is my Microsoft Entra ID for authentication and authorization. Authentication and authorization. So for authorization, you could also give RBAC rules in order to access the control. Now, a few more things you have to do. Now you could see that this application want to fetch the data from the SQL server. So even I have also discussed on the day one. I don't know whether exactly you have remembered it. So just like in the case of user identities, User identities need authentication from Microsoft Enter ID. In the similar way, we need to provide the identities to the applications and to the other resources as well. It could be Azure resources, it could be your third party resources. So we also need to provide the identities for the authentication. So usually what happens, if this is my web application, this web application want to access the data from the SQL database. So it has to prove its identity. How it will be proving? How you will verify the request is coming from the valid resource? Because it will be checking the authentication mechanism will be done in the backend. So it will be providing its user account, it's providing you the password, everything it's providing you, then only it will be able to fetch the data, because this SQL database, that will be a very secure and sensitive data. So it's not going to do without authentication. So in case of the web application, in case of other resources, there is one more service, there is one more resource you have to create. That is managed identity and service principal. Now, the difference between managed identity and service principal is managed identity only works on Azure platform. It works only on Azure platform, but service principal, you could also work with on-prem. You could also work with the on-prem. So whenever the application, because this is the application which also need to access, this is on the on-prem, it also need to access from it also needs some authentication from the Microsoft Enter ID, because Microsoft will not be providing the access to the request coming from any of the servers. It need to verify. So what it will be doing, first of all, it will be registering that application, that on-prem application, they have to register in the Microsoft Enter ID. Now, without providing any credentials, so Microsoft will be providing one identity. The client ID will be provided, the service principal ID, application object ID will be created. With the help of this object ID, you could also create your client secrets for the application. And with this, you could access your application. Your on-prem users could access your applications as well. Now, this will be in the VNet. This will be in the VNet. We'll discuss in the next upcoming session. This is my virtual network. So that exactly how you could provide your application access. So don't worry, we will be discussing this service principal managed identity in our upcoming sessions when it comes to the application development. You just need to understand when there is a on-prem, you have to go with the service principal. Managed identity only works in the Azure platform. So this is an identity which you will be providing to the Azure resources in order to interact with the other resources. Then coming to the compute solutions, this is my case study 3. In the case study 3, this is the tailwind traders who want to migrate their product catalog application to the cloud. So they will be having traditional 3-tier configuration using SQL Server. They want to modernize the application. So you have to provide the solution, how this will help in the migration. This is their on-prem structure. This will be my front end. This will be my business logic, the middle tier. You could also say the middle tier. And this is finally my backend tier. This is my backend tier. So it is a SQL server. Now it has provided me few of the requirements. When the request is coming to the front end, so there is a heavy demand, and the servers could also sit idle during the off hours when the demand is less, when the traffic is low. So servers will be sitting idle. Then there will be the REST API calls from the front end tier. The request demand changes from day to day. This is the keyword. You have to think about this keyword. Then just forget about this, because we have not studied SQL servers, and even it is not asking you about the SQL servers. It has provided you everything. Like during the peak periods, these customers visit. Now, in the migration, the organization, what they are expecting during the sale time. So, when it should reach the limits, the page loads will be lengthy. It could automatically add more servers, but during the off hours, the server should be idle. So then again, in the middle tier, it want that it should process the customer request. Okay, so there should not be long waiting time, and it should offer the email rather than waiting for a representative. The backend tier will store the customer orders. So you have to provide the solution such that it is providing you the high availability. And this is the most important keyword. The company want to keep all the resources in a single region. So that means your solution should not be going with the multiple regions. You have to provide the only in the single region. So in the single region, now there are different options, availability zones, availability sets, okay, virtual machine scale set. Now you have to think about the solution, what solutions you need to go with. So first of all, this is the solution, right? Let me discuss this solution. So this solution is infrastructure as a service. If you want to go with infrastructure as a solution service, then you could see that I could use in the front end, I could use the scale sets because my traffic is not, my traffic is unpredictable. My traffic is variable. So you could go with the scale sets. In front of the scale set, obviously, because there are different instances of the virtual machines. So you have to distribute the traffic, right? How you will be distributing the traffic? With the external load balancer, and it is exposed to the public. We'll discuss that load balancers. Then this is for the authentication. This is my default directory. They will be using my Azure Active Directory. Then coming to this middle tier. In the middle tier, there is my business logic. There is my business logic. So you could go with the scale sets again, but in front of the scale sets, so see, whenever there will be different, more than one instance of your virtual machines, you have to put a load balancer because who is going to decide like how I want to distribute the traffic? Because I don't want to I want to distribute the traffic uniformly or evenly. I have to distribute so that nothing, no instance is overburdened. So I have to distribute accordingly. So load balancer will be responsible for that, and this will be acting as a internal load balance. Internal load balancer means it is not exposed to the public. And this load balancer will be acting as a public load balancer because it is exposed to the internet. It is exposed to the public. Then in the backend tier, you could see that there is a SQL. Now again, it has provided that SQL should also be high availability. So that is the reason I just want to go with the two tiers, like not two tiers, two SQL instance. And again, you have to put an internal load balancer. This is the storage account. We'll discuss in some time. In order to store your data on cloud, you will be using the storage account. So this is providing me the high availability, and you could go with the availability zones, right? You could go with the availability zones. The second is for my on-prem because if you are working with, this is the solution for cloud, this is for the on-prem. It's again infrastructure as a service. So because on the on-prem, we are only having the web servers. So you could go with the virtual machines, as many virtual machines, because in the on-prem, we don't have any concept of scale sets and all that because these are all my cloud services. Now again, in the middle tier, you could go with the virtual machines. In the backend tier, you could go with the SQL servers. So this is my on-prem and this is my Active Directory. This is my Active Directory on my Windows domain controller. Windows domain controller. This is used for authentication. It's used for authentication. Now, I told you there could be multiple solutions. Don't go within even with a single solution. Maybe the infrastructure as a service, they will be providing you some additional overhead, some additional cost will be added, and some administrative efforts will also be required. So you want to go with the past solution. This is the second solution for your problem, in which we are not going with infrastructure as a service, because in infrastructure as a service, if you are going with scale sets, if you are going with virtual machines, you have to take care about the infrastructure, your networking, your upgrading, your patching, your maintenance, your operating system. You are responsible for the scaling and everything. But in the past solution, you don't need to worry about the infrastructure, you don't need to worry about the scalability, everything will be taken care by Microsoft. Now what you could do, all these are past services. So instead of going with the SQL, see, there is one thing, you could take the virtual machine and install the SQL server on top of that. This is one option. So here we have selected this option. This is my virtual machine. On the virtual machine, I have installed the SQL server, SQL role. But now in the past service, Microsoft is already providing me the SQL database managed instances. All these are the managed instances. In the middle tier, you could go with the function apps. Right now, we have not discussed the function app. So function app is my event-based solution. These are my event-based solutions. So whenever the event is happening, then only this will be triggered. Otherwise, it will not trigger. So this will be my event-based. It is based on the trigger only, and it is very cost effective. We'll discuss in the upcoming sessions how exactly it could do. Then coming to the front end tier. So you want to host your application. See, there are two options. You could take virtual machine, install all the software, install all the runtime, all the dependencies, host your application, make the complete deployment. And the second way is you could go with the managed service. So this is the managed services. This is the managed service for hosting your web application. So in order to host your website, in order to host your web application, this is the managed service. So in the front end, you could go with the app service. In the middle tier, you could go with the function app. In the backend tier, you could go with the SQL database. All these are the pass options. And in front of this, you could use the load balancer. This is also the type of the load balancer. It's application gateway. It will be acting as a layer 7. It will be acting at a layer 7. Then in the similar way, we could have on-prem scenarios as well. In the on-prem, you could go with the virtual machines. You have to take that load balancer in the middle tier virtual machines, and in the backend, because there is no pass services in the on-prem. You just only need to go with the this options only. Okay, right? So these are my SQL servers. I hope that we are clear. Are we clear with all this case studies? A quick confirmation.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yes.
Okay. Now let's proceed with the next module. I will be providing you some more case studies as well.
So Tanvi, any reference where we can get this kind of case studies for a self study?
Yeah,
Any
I could provide the references. Okay. Now let's get started with our new module, that is Azure Storage Service, Azure Storage Account. See, first of all, you need to understand what is the requirement of the storage account. So, storage account, in simple layman example, there are so many applications, right? You are hosting your applications. There will be different applications which are connecting in between. There are different services which you are running. But all the resource, all the services, they will be generating the data. So, how you are going to store that information, that data on the cloud? On the cloud, you will be dumping all your data and information in your Azure storage account. So that was a simple and concise role of the My Azure storage account, where you could store your files, you could store your messages, you could store your tables, you could store other type of the information. Now, by other type of the information, it could be your unstructured data, it could be your structured data as well. So unstructured data is nothing. Structured data is which is following my some schema, some strict schema will be followed. Like in the case of relational databases, they are following some schema databases. But in the case of unstructured, it could be my audio files, it could be my video files, okay, it could be my PNG files, it could be my TXT files, any binary, any executables, any files could be there in the unstructured data. So it's not following any schema. There is no rigid schema. There is no strict schema they will be following. Even your virtual machine, when you are creating your virtual machines, so obviously for the disk as well, you need storage. So where exactly they will be storing that disk, because when you are creating your virtual machine, so your OS disk will be created. That will be stored in the C drive, obviously. And we will be having D drive, we will be having F drive, right? You could create as many drives, as many disk. Now, this is also right. It's a managed disk. It's a complete abstraction. You will not be able to see the disk in the virtual machines in the storage account, but you need some storage account. So you don't need to create the storage account. Microsoft will automatically create a storage account for you, and it is storing that disk, your drives in the storage account. So we will be requiring storage everywhere. And it is durable, it is secure, it is scalable, it is managed, it is accessible. Now, how you could manage, how you could access, we will discuss all that features in the upcoming slides as well. So how you could access your Azure storage account from anywhere in the world over your browsers, even over your HTTP or HTTP and HTTPS. Now you could think about this. Microsoft Azure is providing us, or otherwise, let me take this all that features. So, what is the scalability we are discussing from the day one? So, scalability is when there is a large quantity of the data. It's coming in the petabytes. It's coming in the millions of transactions. So, it need to support that scalability. It's need to provide that instances. So, it is scalable because it is a managed services. Then durability and high availability. So it's automatically replicated, okay, to the different zones. We'll discuss about the replication strategies in the case of hardware failures, in the case of hardware failures, or in the case of outages. It could be power outages, it could be network outages, it could be natural disasters like earthquake, flood, any of the scenarios could have happened. At that time, it will replicate to the different zones and it will be accessible. Coming to the security. So security is something where, see, when you are writing your data to Azure storage account, it will be stored in the encrypted format. It is not stored in the original format. It will be stored in the encrypted format in your physical data center drives, in your physical Microsoft data centers, where exactly your physical Microsoft infrastructure is there. So on the disk, on the physical disk, the data will be stored in the encrypted format. This will be converted into the encrypted format with the help of encryption key. So there are different algorithms. RSA algorithm is there. Elliptical curve is the another algorithm that is used for converting, for using this converting the original text into the encrypted code. Afterwards, once you do this, then when you are recovering that data, when you are retrieving that data, it will come into the original text, it will come into the decoded format. So encryption and the decryption. Decryption means it is converting back to your encrypted data into the original text. So that will be completely responsibility of Microsoft. You don't need to go with this encryption on your own. You could do this with the help of Azure Key Vault, but that we will be discussing later on. At this point of time, I don't want to go into that discussion. So by default, for all the storage account, encryption will be enabled by Microsoft Azure. Now coming to this, it's also using some other concepts like policies are there, shared access signatures are there, shared keys there. We'll discuss one by one. So it is completely a managed service, right? It is a completely managed service. You don't need to worry about the maintenance, hardware maintenance, updation, any kind of critical issues for you. So which will be adding some additional cost. You don't need to worry about this. And it is easily accessible over the internet as well. Over the web, you could easily access. Now there are two type of the storage account. One is the premium and the standard one. Standard is also known as general purpose V2 account. General purpose V2 account. It is also named as GPV2 storage account. So as you indicate that if you go to the premium one, obviously you will be getting some added functionalities, some additional features will be added in the premium, right? In the general purpose, there will be some less functionalities. So in the storage account, how you could correlate in the terms of throughput, in the terms of latency, in the terms of IOPS, you could make a difference between in all that features, right? So in the day-to-day scenarios, you could go with the standard one. Okay, so the it's providing us the all the supported data types like blob. Right now, it's not the right time to discuss that blobs concept. I will come to this. So in the premium, you will be getting some additional features. I will show and I will discuss in some time as well. So why the premium? When you want high performance, when you want high performance, when there are workloads which need high performance, which should be backed by the solid state drives and which needs very low latency is required and high throughput is required. High IOPS, high throughput is required, then go with the premium. But premium is the costly option. Premium is the costly option. In day-to-day scenarios, normally we are going with the standard one only. Now coming to this Azure storage services. In the Azure storage services, so first of all, if you could see that at the diagram right hand side, this is my storage account. In the storage account, all these are my data storage options. Data storage options. First is my container. As a layman example, you could think as an analogy that container, just assume that in the Windows, container will be acting as a folder. Okay. And inside this folder, you could create, you could upload your data. You could upload your data. It could be your images, it could be your documents, it could be audio, video, your backup data, your big data for the analytics purpose, your databases, your logs, anything you could upload. And what is this blobs? Blobs is my binary large objects. Binary large objects. Remember one thing, all the unstructured data could only be stored in my Azure storage account. If there is a relational databases and all that, then you have to go with the SQL services. Okay, but unstructured data will only be stored in our Azure storage account. Then comes to the next second one, table. So what table will be storing? Table will be actually, this will be a kind of, I could say that it is the non-relational as well. And it will be storing in the form of entities. So that key value pairs will be storing in the form of entities. I will show you practically how exactly it will be showing. So this is my structured, but it is my non-relational data. If you want to go with the relational choices, then you have to select your databases like your SQL servers. You have to select the SQL servers, but this tables is storing my non-relational data. Okay, so coming to the queue. Why queue? Because if you remember, we have discussed the structure of the microservices. In the microservices, we have different application components implemented as a service. Now, all of these services need to communicate between each other. So, just giving you one example. Now, suppose that this is my e-commerce application. First of all, you have logged in to your application. Your account credentials will be fetched from the backend. It will be fetched. Okay, and afterwards maybe you are adding something to the cart. So this will be adding something you are adding to the cart. Then you will be doing some payment. A request will be going to the payment gateway to your banking. Then afterwards it will be asking you for all the customer details, your shipping address, all that details will be required. uh, in between, you are also referring to the inventory management, your product details. Okay, so then you will be adding to the cart. All these services are there, all these application components, but how they will interact with each other, how they will come to know that the request is coming from the user, that one customer has signed in, one customer has adding some items to to the cart. How they will be finding out this? Because in between there is the queue. So there is the queue in between. It's acting like this queue. So where all the messages are arriving, the messages are arriving. So once the message will be processed, once this message will be processed, it will be out from the queue. It will be deleted from the queue. So that means it will only in the process when, for example, if you're doing some transactions, this message will be in the queue. So then it will be deleted from the queue, that it will be indicating that I'm done with the payment. So it is kind of the notifications which is providing you the to the different application components. So it is the way to communicate between the different application components. So it will be storing the messages, and it's the use cases, microservices, architecture, implementation. Coming to the Azure files. Azure file is nothing, it is a simply file share service on the cloud. Just like on the case of on-prem, you have SNB, you have NFS servers, right? So in order to share all the files and to sync with the remote users, so the same thing you could also do on the cloud with the help of Azure files. I will show you the demonstration. It will be adding as a drive link into the remote users. You have to run a PowerShell script in case of Windows. In case of Linux, you have to mount a drive. I will show you practically, no problem. So that will be a complete sync between the remote users. They could upload their files, they could access their files. Now coming to the storage account type, right? In the storage account type, there is the general purpose V2 account, which is including your blob, your file, your queue, your table, and your data lake storage. So now forget about this data lake storage because it is used for the big data analytics workload. For the storage account, we are not using this service data lake. So it's completely to the data engineer profile, to the data engineer role, where they are working with the big data analytics. Right now, but how to create this big data, this data lake account? You could create that data lake account with this simple storage account. You just only need to enable one option, that is my hierarchical workloads. That's all. So it will be providing you the storage complete space to store the massive amount of the data, because in the big data, in the data lake, we are storing huge amount of the data. Then coming to the premium block blobs, now you could see that first just try to understand what is my blob, what is my, then I will come to this premium option. Okay, so that is the, we could add here. So in this Azure storage account, the blobs, the first data storage, like the first data storage option will be container. Inside the container, you could create n number of the blobs. This is also unlimited, and this blob is also unlimited. But there are few type of the blob. There are different type of the blobs. Now, what are the different type of the blobs here? The very first one is the block blobs. Block blobs. Then the second comes your append blobs. Append blobs. And then the page blobs. Then there is the page blob. I will be providing you the complete use cases and the scenario where we will be using different kind of the blobs. First of all, block blobs will be the default one. Whenever you will be creating any unstructured data type, all that information, all that data will be stored in the form of block blobs. So that will be storing my large amounts of unstructured data. Unstructured large amount of data will be stored in the form of blocks. So where data is divided into the blocks, where data stored that will be divided into my blocks, and each block will be having its unique ID. Each blocks will be having its unique ID. Okay, so it could be used to store text, your binary data, any kind of the data. Binary, text data, you could store any kind of the data here. Okay. So this is used for streaming audio, video, backup, log files, telemetry data. All that are examples of my blobs, block blobs. Okay. It could be your backup. It could be your log files. It could be your telemetry data coming from the monitoring. It could be anything. Now coming to the append blobs. What is exactly the append blobs? It is used for the optimizing the append operations. Append operations in normal scenario. So what do you mean by the append operation? What do you mean by this append operation? In the Linux, we also understood this append. What do you mean by this append? So when you are adding something to the end of your file, right? So when you are adding, the blocks will be added to the end of the blob. And in one scenarios, you could go with the append blobs when you are writing in the logging scenarios where the logs are continuously getting added, continuously appending to the blobs. Okay, then yeah, in the logging scenarios where you want to store the logs from the virtual machines, or if the data is coming from sensor, data is coming from the IoT. So data from the IoT sensors, that is also acting as an append blob. So the type of the blobs, the data that is continuously being added. Mostly it is used in the logging purpose. Then coming to the page blobs, where the page blobs will be used. Any guesses for the page blobs, please? Where you could use the page blobs?
Redirection of websites, means one page to another.
No, no, exactly. This page blobs will be in the form of when you want to do some frequent read write operations. When you want to go with some frequent and random read write operations. Right, right. This is providing you the random read write operations. So it will be the scenarios where you are writing to your operating system, to your disk. When you are creating the virtual machine, the disk will be created, right? And it is stored into the storage account that will be stored in the page blobs. And it is divided into 512 byte pages. 512 byte pages. So mostly this use cases, it is it is designed to support virtual machine disk. Azure virtual machine disk will be stored in the form of page blobs, and it will be stored as VHD files, virtual machine disk. So where you want the random access to the data, in all that scenarios, you could go with the page blobs where you want a random access to your data. Okay, so that was the type of the blobs. That was the type of the blobs. Let me also discuss some of the parameters which are affected with the, which you could also understand when it comes to the Azure storage account. Just give me only one moment, please. I'm taking a glass of water. Okay, I'm back. So you also need to understand the term latency, because when it comes to the storage account, when it comes to the databases, I will be very frequently using this term latency. So latency is nothing. This is my time delay. This is the time delay between sending the request, between sending a request to the storage, to the storage and receiving the first byte of the response. So actually that will be the time between the request and the response. In short, that is the meaning of the latency, and it is measured in milliseconds. It is measured in milliseconds. So that means lower the latency, lower the latency, the faster response time. The faster response time. Okay, so you should understood that every time I'm using this low latency, so exactly this is the meaning of low latency. So whenever you are sending the request, there will be a very less time for the response. Now coming to one more thing is throughput. Throughput. So in the throughput, this is also considered as a bandwidth. This is also considered as a bandwidth. Actually, it's calculated in the amount of the data. It's calculated as the amount of the data that can be read from or written to the storage. So throughput latency, it could associated with any of the Azure resources. Right now we are understanding the storage account, so I'm talking about in terms of the storage account only. So this is per second, the amount of the data you could read, and it's measured in megabytes per second. It's calculated, or you could measurement will be done in the form of megabytes per second or megabytes per second. So that will be represented as MIB. So what do you think, higher throughput is required or low throughput is required for the better performance? Higher
Higher
throughput.
throughput.
Yes. So higher throughput is very critical for the application that process large amount of the data, that process large amount of the data, that process large amount of the data sequentially, like your data streaming, you are streaming your data. So high throughput is required when you are doing the large file transfers. When you are doing the large file transfers, then also high throughput is required. In the case of data warehousing, that is also required. And what is the relationship between the IOPS and the input output size? Let me also write the formula as well. So throughput is equal to the IOPS. Throughput is equal to the IOPS multiplied by the input output size. So a larger input output size is for the same IOPS will result in the higher throughput. So for example, if I give you ultra disk, if you are using the managed disk ultra disk, so that will use, let me give you that example. So if you could use that ultra disk, that will offer you the throughput up to 900 Mbps. Okay, so no, I think this number should be greater. It should be not 900, it should be around 10,000. It should be around 10,000. So that will be per disk. Per disk. If you are going with the premium SSD, if you are going with the premium SSD, yeah, it will be providing you the 9 Mbps per disk. If you are going with the standard SSD, then the throughput it will be providing you, approx 750. Then in the case of the standard hard disk drive HDD, it will be providing you approx throughput of 500 Mbps. Okay, so this is completely dependent on this, what exactly you will be adding. Okay, so these are the terms which we will be using the frequently. So IOPS, there should be higher, IOPS is very crucial for your transactional applications. So higher IOPS will be requiring, okay, so this is a new feature. Let me also change the pen and write it here because we will be using all these terms very frequently. these are actually the basic concepts that everyone is knowing in the databases, in the data operations. But let me take it from the scratch. No problem. I could take it from the scratch. You should know the basic concepts. So what is this IOPS? IOPS is also something the characteristic of the storage account or in which you could calculate the efficiency. So this is actually the number of the read-write operations. The number of the read-write operations, or I could say the transactions, the number of the read-write operations or the transactions that the storage can handle per second. Storage can handle per second. So high IOPS means it's very crucial for the transactional applications. Higher IOPS are crucial for transactional applications when it comes to the transactional, like databases or where it requires the random read write operations. Okay, so in all that scenarios you require higher IOPS. Higher IOPS. For example, it want to fetch the data from the databases, like databases. It could be your SQL servers, Oracle, or any OLTP workloads. Okay. So that exactly are all the features which you could be adding with the storage account. Now let's go back to the slide deck and discuss the other things. Okay. Now, if you look at the storage account types, there are two types, standard and the premium. In the standard one, it is for the blob, file, queue, table, data link. But when it comes to the premium, this is used when you require high transaction rate and where you need low storage latency. So you could go with the page blobs, block blobs, you could go with the file shares, you could go with the page blobs. It's providing me in the premium, there are three options. Page blobs are required when you want to go with the frequent random read write operations, like in the VHD files. In the VHD files, as a managed disk in case of virtual machine. If you want higher performance, then you could go with this premium page blobs. And if you want the premium enterprise file share applications, high performance, go with the premium file share option. And at the bottom, it's also written one more thing, encryption. All the storage accounts are encrypted using the storage account encryption for data at rest. So by default, all the storage accounts are encrypted automatically. Okay. This is very, very important concept. Okay. Just give me only one moment. I have already written it here. Let me open the another slide deck. Virtual machine. I want to open that 7. Yeah, take it from here. This is very, very, very important concept of your storage account replication strategies. If you are not able to understand, please stop me in between. I could repeat it multiple times, but there will be definitely there will be questions. Okay, so there will be questions in the certificates from the replication strategies. Some 2 to 3 questions will be there. So don't consider this as a less because it will be comprising a huge number of the there will be at least 3 to 4 questions, and just try to understand, and it's an important topic. Coming to the replication strategies, now what is the purpose why we need that replication strategy? The purpose is high availability. The purpose is high availability. Just like in the case of virtual machines, for the high availability, we went with the availability sets. Okay, we have seen that there is one more option, availability zones. Availability zones. Then we have seen that there is virtual machine scale sets. But how you could ensure that your storage account data will be available even at the time of outages? Your application will be up and running because in all that applications, this is my frontier. Okay, this is my frontier. This will be my business logic or middle tier, but actually the data will be retrieving from the backend tier only. Now the backend tier could be your Azure storage account, it could be your SQL servers. If the request is coming from the client browser and it's going to the business logic, your middle tier, and then for it's forwarded to the backend tier, then the data will be coming back to the response. Okay, so it will be coming as a response. Just allow me only one more moment. Coming back to this, so every time the data, the respond will be coming from the backend tier. Okay, so you need to ensure that your application will be, because your data availability is very, very important. If your front end application, just assume that in your e-commerce application, you are doing some online shopping and you are not able to access the images, you can't access the images, so, are you going to continue the shopping with that e-commerce application? No, because that's not able to fetch the data from the backend servers. So, your application connectivity, your data should be highly available. So, how you will ensure with the help of this replication strategies? There are different replication strategy. First of all, we will start with the local replication strategy, with the local replication, or you could also use this term redundancy, local redundancy storage. Either of the term you could use. Now, what is this local redundancy? You could see that it's only applicable in the single region, because just assume that this is my data center. This is my data center. Now, what it will be doing, it will be creating three replicas. Three replicas will be created in one single region, in one single data center. So, because in my data centers, what are data centers? They will be the rack of servers which are sharing the common hardware. They are sharing the common hardware. Okay, they will be sharing the common supply, some common cooling, some common network, some common switches. Now, in order to protect it from the data center failures, it will be creating the three replicas in one single region. Okay, so it's protecting you against the hardware failures, which are sharing the common devices, common networking, common node, common rack failures. So it is protecting you against the rack failures. Now, when it comes to the second one, zone redundancy storage. Zone redundancy storage. In the zone redundancy storage, what will happen? It will create the three replicas, but in the three different availability zones. And it's also the single region. It's also the single region. For example, this is my East US. Okay. Now, just assume that this is application is not accessible. You could access your application from Z2 zone, availability zone. You could access your application from Z3. So it will be creating three replicas in three zones, one region. So it's protecting me against the node, rack, and the zonal failures. And there is a synchronous write. So there is a synchronous write between all of this, right? So once it is committed by all of the replicas, so that will be a synchronous write. Now, coming to this, just assume that there is a natural calamity or there is a earthquake, there is a flood-like situation in East US region, and my complete region goes down. This my complete region will go down. In that case, how you will ensure because its surroundings are also affected. I want to ensure that my replicas will also be created. Uh, yeah, a rate will be actually for storing. This will be a kind of the physical devices that will be used for storing the data. So that will be superior into that rate. I will show you graphically. I will also be showing you. These are actually the physical devices in order to store your data. Now coming to this multiple regions. So you want to protect against the and you will make ensure, for example, if there is any outages in the East US region, so surrounding areas will also be impacted. You want to select area which will be minimum 300 miles apart, and this will be a primary region, there will be a secondary region. So it will be creating three replicas in the primary, three replicas in the secondary. Now it is protecting me. So this is known as my geo redundant storage. Geo redundant storage. So six replicas will be created, three per region. Three per region. It is protecting me against the regional disasters. If this complete region is not available, you could access your data from the secondary region. And this is asynchronous. So it is asynchronous to the secondary. That means it's not depending on the acknowledgement. There is no handshaking, there is no acknowledgement. So this will be replicas will be committed, operations, read write operations will be committed, but it's not waiting for that acknowledgement, right? So there could be some delay as well. Now coming to this, what could be the region pair selection? Who is going to select that secondary region? Because for my secondary region, if I am taking East US as a primary region, every time the secondary region will be West US, and Microsoft is selecting that region. We don't have any control. This is known as cross region pairing. This is known as cross region pairing. So I will be providing you the official documentation, the list of the document, which is providing you the complete list of the region pairing. So this is used for the high availability and for the business continuity and the disaster recovery scenarios. Now, but you have to initiate a failover policy. You have to initiate a failover policy. In case of any failures, in case of any outages, you have to manually initiate a failover policy. Automatically, it will not switch to the secondary. So in that case, if your primary region is facing any outages, you could initiate a failover policy, and then the secondary region will be acting as a primary region until and unless this primary region gets up. Then coming to the next one, this is my read access. This is by read access geo-redundant storage. Geo-redundant storage. It's similar to the GRS. The only difference is it will be creating 6 replicas in the primary and 3 replicas in the primary plus 3 replicas in the secondary. Total 6 replicas in 2 different regions. The region pair selection will be done by Microsoft. The only difference is because in the previous scenario, we could only access the data from the secondary region when the primary region is not available. But in the case, for example, just assume that there are some users request is coming from the West US. Okay. And in order to have some low latency, I want that the request could be responded from this West US region. So in the case of GRS, there will be only there you could access the data only from the primary when there is a failure with the primary region. But in the case of RAGERS, you could access the data from the secondary, but this is only read access. You can't write to these replicas because this is async, right? The write operations could only be done on the primary region. Then you could also think about this RPO and RTO. So for what exactly this RPO? Let me also write it here. Or otherwise, I could write it here. So actually, RPO is my recovery point objective. RPO is my recovery point objective. It is helpful in the BCDR. What is this BCDR? My business continuity and my disaster recovery scenarios. My disaster recovery scenarios. It's used for the high availability only. So what is this RPO? RPO means how much data, how much data and any organization can afford to lose in the disaster. So if any disaster, if any outages happen, how much data I could lose? Because I told you, if you could look at this diagram, there is an async operation. Because switching from primary to secondary, it will take some time. Obviously, that time will be minimal, but it will take some time. So, how much data you could afford? Because that will also be impacting the it is according to the SLA, but that will be impacting your business as well. You will be losing your data in between the running application. So how much data you could lose, that will be completely defined in the metric. So this is the metric in order to calculate the efficiency of your application. Then coming to the RTO. RTO is nothing. RTO is my so what exactly this my RTO? This is my recovery time objective. Recovery time objective. So recovery time objective in simple and concise terms. A recovery time objective is nothing. It is how quickly you could recover. How quickly I could recover or I need my service to be operational. I need my service to be operational after a disaster. After a disaster or any outages or any outages. Okay, so this RPO is for the asynchronous application, right? Because there is a non zero data loss should be there. So RPO is determined by the interval time between the last successful write. So how you will be calculating your RPO? Let me also write it here. These are also important terms, and it is also important from the certification point of the view. Okay, this is for non-zero data loss and how you will be calculating This will be determined by the interval. This will be determined by the interval between your last between your last successful write between your last successful write in the primary region and when that write is fully committed when that write is fully committed to the secondary region because it is asynchronous, right? For the asynchronous, I'm talking about the asynchronous replication because you are not very sure about how much time it has taken for the write operation. Is it committed from the write replicas? You don't know. From the secondary replicas, you are not very sure about this. Okay, so there are many factors which are influencing this RPO. Frequency of the replication, network bandwidth, how frequently your data is changing. So that will be completely responsible for all these factors, right? Okay. So let me come back to the slide deck. Now coming to the next last two replication strategies. This is my geo zone replication strategy. Geo-zone replication strategy. If you could look at this, 6 replicas will be created, and this will be my primary region. This will be my secondary region. If it is East US, then it will be West US. If it is Central India, then it will be South India. So all that region pairs will already provided by Microsoft, and it's 300 miles apart. Now just look at this. In between the primary region, it is following LRS, local redundant storage. So it is, sorry, ZRS. It's also protecting me against the zonal failures as well as the regional failures. If in the primary region, this zone is not up, you could access the data from Z2. If this Z2 is not available, you could access from Z3. If that complete region is not available, you could access your data from the secondary region. So it's protecting me against the zonal failures and the regional failures. In between the primary region, there is a synchronous write. There is a synchronous write to all of 3 zones. But in between primary and secondary, there is the asynchronous copy to the secondary. So all the commits will not be acknowledged. Then coming to the last one, this is my read access. Read access geo zone redundant storage. Geo zone redundant storage. The only difference is it's similar to the GZRS. The only difference is it will be creating 3 replicas, and in the primary region, it's following ZRS. In the secondary region, 3 copies will be created and it's following LRS. Here also, it's following LRS. So it will be creating 3 replicas in my data center. So it's protecting me against the, and it's providing me the read access. The users could access the data from the secondary region as well. So it's providing me the low latency. Now, how exactly you could access your storage? What is the URL? What is exactly the endpoint? How you could access your data on the web? So if you want to access the container, you could see that this is HTTPS, the endpoint. This is the name of my storage account. This is the name of storage account name, and it's common everywhere. It's common everywhere. If you go to the container, so you could just only see the difference here. It's blob. In the table, it's replaced by table. Last is same, core windows.net. Then in the queue, this will be replaced by queue. In the file, it is file. You could also create your own custom domain name. For example, it has provided the contoso.com. So you could create your CNAME records If you don't want to go with this much big endpoint or URL, you could create your CNAME records, but you have to verify on the domain registrar. It could be used every time. Yeah, yeah. So coming to the replication strategies, see if you are going to the this GRS, RAGCRS, cost will be added, and GCRS, RAGCRS is only used for the critical applications for the production workloads. In the day-to-day scenarios where you don't want to go for this or for the testing environment, you could go with LRS and GRS. Max to max, you could go with the GRS because cost will also be added there. So in case if there is a very, very critical application, you want to take the backups and you need that backups should be highly available. At any point, you could restore your data. Then you could go with GCRS, RAGCRS. But in the day-to-day scenarios, mostly we are preferring ZRS, or if it is a production type workloads, go with the GRS. In the dev and test, you could go with ZRS.
Quick question on this replicas. So I
Yeah.
could see there is only options for read when the failover happens. So is there any way to write the content into that?
In order to write the content on the secondary, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Secondary you could do when only there is an outage with the primary one. When there is a regional failure, then it's providing me the write access as well. Then you could write your data, but you have to initiate a failover policy.
So
At
I
a
would need to do that. I would need to make this as a primary.
Yes, we need to make this. We could take say that at a temporary functional, it will be function temporarily. It will be functioning as a primary region only for short duration of time.
Will we see any kind of demos for this?
Yeah, I will be showing you this everything. I will be showing you.
Oh,
I thought to just complete only one more topic and then I will be going with the demonstration. Actually, in the storage account, just only up to this point you have to understand. The rest, everything is I will be demonstrating through the Azure portal. Now, coming to the security, you want to restrict the access from some selected networks. You could also select your IP address. You want to restrict to some VNets. You want to restrict to access only to your client IP address. If you want to restrict to the firewalls, there is some restriction. Everything you could do control from the this options. Security, I will show you on the portal. I will show you just only one small topic, and then we are moving to the Azure portal. Now, coming to the blob storage, we have already discussed. Okay, in the storage account, just assume that this is the name of the storage account, production. Inside this, I have created two containers, pictures, movies. Inside these pictures, you could upload any of the number of the images. Under the movies, you have uploaded the movies. Then this is considered as an object storage, large object, binary large object. And what are the use cases? You could also use for serving the images directly to the browser, for distributed access, for mostly this is the purpose. For unstructured data, streaming audio and video, for backup and restore, for on-prem as well, you could store because for the big data analysis purpose, you could also use that. You could create the containers, multiple containers inside the blob. And there is also the access you could control by this option. So if you are taking this private option, that means you are not giving access to anyone. There is no anonymous access. If you are providing blob, it's providing you the read access for the blobs only. There is only the read access to the particular blob. But if you are giving the container access, that means you are providing the access to whole containers and the blobs. But this is only read access. No one could write to this. This is only read access. Yeah, this is one more thing which you need to understand. Actually, one more option was added. So you need to understand the concept of the tiers. Okay. And this is my blob access tiers, hot access tier, cool tier, archival tier. Now, what is the purpose of this hot tier? Now, there is one more tier which has been added. Hot tier, cool tier, cold tier. Cold tier was the recent addition by the Microsoft. And the last one is my archival tier. Archival tier. So hot tier will be used for the frequent access data. Hot tier, that is my default one, and it will be used for my frequent access data. So when you will be creating your storage account, by default, the data will be stored in the hot tier. So this will be providing me the frequent access to the data. Cool tier, it's providing me the infrequent access to the data. So for example, you are not accessing your data frequently. And cold tier is also coming to the infrequent access data. Archival tier. Archival tier will be adding rarely accessed data. It will be adding rarely accessed data. Now coming to the hot tier. So this is the default one. Like whenever you are creating this account, by default, it will be going. In the cool tier, it will stay for 30 days. It will stay for 30 days. If you could also look at this. So the amount of the data which is infrequently accessed and it will store for at least 30 days. There could be some questions in the certificate from the tiers. And from the, obviously from this slide, there will be multiple questions. Now coming to this cold tier. In the cold tier, it will stay for the 90 days. You have to remember this number. This number are very important. Archival is 180 days. Now, what will happen? You also need to remember what is the purpose of this tiers. Why we are understanding this tier? Because tiers will be responsible for my cost optimization. But how it will be adding to my cost optimization? After this, I will be going with the demonstration and then other things, security, accessibility, we will be covering in the other tomorrow session. But let me explain this, then we will be moving to the Azure portal. So coming to the tiers, I'm talking about the cost optimization. So there are two type of the cost which are associated with storage account. One is the excess cost. One is the excess cost and second is my storage cost. Second is my storage cost. So if you are using hot tier, let me also change my pen here. If you are using hot tier, then the excess cost will be high. In the cool tier, the cost will little low down. The cost will be less. In the cold tier, okay, so no, I think I have reversed that. Just give me only one moment. Let me. I have taken the reverse. So if you want to access the cost, because from the archival tier, this is rarely access to the data. If you want to access the data from the archival, that will be cost will be high. Okay, and it will be decreasing. So it will be decreasing. If you are going to the cold tier, you want to access the data, cost will be less. From the cool tier, it will be very less. From the hot tier, it will be minimal. It will be very less. Okay, so this is the excess cost. Now the storage cost will be opposite. It's the vice versa. It is the reverse. If you want to if you want to store in the archival tier, so in the archival tier, there is a low cost. In the cold tier, there will be a little high cost. Then in the cool tier, it will keep on increasing. In the hot tier, this will be very high. This will be very high. And what is the use cases? In the archival tier, we are normally going for the backup data or for the archival tier for the data that is used for the logging purpose, because you want to refer to the logs only at a specific duration. So you could you could recover from the archival tier. This is mostly used when companies will be having some legal documents for the compliance, for some organizational documents are there. So the company will be having their own legal requirements regarding the governance, compliance, regarding the audits. So all that data will be rarely used. Then you could move to the archival tier. One more thing you have to understand, only just one last concept, and then we are going to our Azure portal account. So, a retrieval of the data from archival is not very simple. Obviously, there will be a storage cost is very less, but if you could see that if you want to access the data from the archival tier, that is very high. So, what exactly you have to do to access the data? To access the data from the archival, there is a rehydration cost which is added. There is an additional cost which is known as rehydration cost, and some standard time will be also added. So minimum 3 hours will be there. It's depending on the percentage of the data, on the amount of the data, but minimum 3 hours will be used in order to access, in order to move, because directly we can't access the data from the archival tier. Before that, we have to move the data either to the cool or to the cold tier. So that will incur the cost, that will incur the cost, and there will be some standard time which is required. Now let's go back. There are so many things which we need to discuss in the storage account, but that's completely fine. We will discuss tomorrow. I just want to show you how to create a storage account, because we have discussed everything, all the pointers. We are left only with the security, with the files, with the queue, with the tables. Right now, I will be showing you how to work with the blob and the containers. First of all, this is the subscription. I want to create a new resource group. I want to create a new resource group. I have taken this name as a Paperlive RG. Storage account name that should be unique. So I'm taking this name, demo unique latest. It will be providing me that green tick mark at the end. The region selection is completely up to you. I'm okay with this East US region. Primary service, go with the Azure Blob Storage. Then if you could look at this, these are my replication strategies, and two options are provided. You want to create standard account, you want to create premium account. If you want to go with the standard, this is my general purpose V2 account, and all these replication strategies are available. LRS, ZRS, GRS, GZRS. So LRS is the lowest cost option, and they have provided me the use case. So it is protecting me only against the data center failures. You could go for the non-critical scenarios like dev and test. So geo redundant storage will be used when you want the failover capabilities in the secondary region. This is used for the backup. ZRS will be used when you want to protect against the data center failures. It is used for the high availability. When you want to protect against both zonal and the regional failures, go with the GZRS. And this is for the very critical scenarios, very critical applications. So at any time post deployment also you could upgrade your storage account. Let me go with the, okay, let me go with GRS. Now go to the next one. I want to enable the anonymous access on the containers. You could also do later on as well post deployment. You could also, because Microsoft by default, they are not providing the anonymous access to anyone. So it is secure by default. If you are enabling this hierarchical namespace, so that means this storage account will be converted into the data lake account. This is used in the big data workloads and this will be acting as a massive storage. But I don't want this. I only need that storage account. Then coming to this access tier, if you could see that by default it is hot. Going to the next, I want to give the public access from all the networks. We'll discuss that private endpoint in the upcoming sessions. Always go with the Microsoft network routing. Now, coming to the recovery, if you want to recover the data from any accidental deletion or modification, you could enable these options. Okay, so actually, there is a one option soft delete. Now, what is this soft delete? Soft delete is just like in your physical machines, we had an option like if you are deleting anything accidentally, it will be going to the in the soft state into the recycle bin. So for some duration there is a some retention duration and you could recover your data from the recycle bin. In the similar way, maybe accidentally someone has deleted the data, it will stay in the storage account in the soft delete state, and this is the number of the days which you could retain. It could be in the sequence range 1 to 365. So let me go with the number 7 only. You could select your data, you could recover your data from the 7 days. This is for the blob, this is for the containers, this is for the file share. The first option is point in time restore. So this is for the versioning process. For example, you have created some few versions. Okay, and you want to restore to the previous version to the earlier state. Then if you have enabled this, you could restore back to the previous state. But make sure if you are enabling this option, you have to enable this change feed and the blob soft delete should be enabled. Coming to the tracking, you want to keep track of the changes, who has made changes to my blob. You could enable the versioning. Okay, it will be keeping a note of everything who has taken. Automatically, it will maintain the versions of your blob whenever you are doing any changes. You want to enable the blob change feed. So it will be keeping all the logs. Who has made the changes, when it will be done. So you want to keep delete the logs after some duration, after some 7 days. You could also do this. Now coming to the next, always go with the encryption with Microsoft management keys. The encryption will be done by Microsoft. Don't change to the customer. In the customer, then we have to use Azure Key Vault service. We'll discuss in the upcoming sessions, review and create. Just one last minute and then we are done with the session. Tomorrow we will be discussing some more concepts with the storage account. And we'll start with the networking. Storage account is also having it's a very lengthy topic as well. So networking and storage account, both are the lengthy modules. See, understanding of the concept is much important. That's why I'm spending some time on the theoretical concepts as well. So if I'm directly going with the demonstrations and you are not able to understand, you are not able to correlate in what scenarios which services could be used, then it's not worth. Then coming to the storage account. Okay, in the storage account, first of all, we need to understand only these four options, which is coming under the data storage. The very first one is the containers. You could see that these two containers are automatically created. Why? Because we have enabled the change feed and we have enabled the logs. Then you could create multiple containers, right? I'm giving the name demo container. Demo container. This option is grayed out for me. Could you please help me why this option is grayed out for me? I'm not able to change anything here. Because at the time of the provisioning of storage account, I have selected this option as a no anonymous access. Create that. Now this container has been created. Inside this demo container, you could upload any blobs, any unnumber of the blobs. So if I give, let me upload any one of this document. Upload. And how you could access on the web, simply click on this. It's providing me the URL. If you want to see the other options as well, you want to see the contents and all that, just paste it on the browser, but it will not provide me. The reason is, could you see that public access not permitted? Let me also share this link on the chat. You could also try to access. Okay, because I have not provided the public access. Now, what I want to do, I want to change the access level. So go back to your storage account, go to the overview. At any point of time, you could change this. So I want to enable this blob anonymous access. Okay, I want to change this blob anonymous access and save. Now it will be updating the settings on my storage account. Once this updation has been done, go back to the overview, go to the containers. Inside this container, go to the demo container. And in this demo container, I just want to change the access level. Now I could enable this option. I could access. Go to the container. Okay. And let me do a refresh because already it has been updated. Just one last second and then we are done with our session. Okay, so let me change the access level. Go to the container and click on OK. Now it will be changing the access level. If I click on this, now it's providing me this URL. Could you please also check and try to access the URL? Are you able to access this PDF? What I will be doing, I am reloading this page. Now, could you see that I'm able to access this blob, this PDF I'm able to access. Even you could also download this from this link, from this URL. Is it? Are you able to access?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's all for the day. I'm so sorry I've taken extra few more minutes. That's all for the day. Any questions, please?
But Tanvi, during the session, you have told we have seen some Linux kind of thing, right? So when you explained the append operation,
Hmm.
you have told that we have seen some Linux kind of thing. So I haven't remember we have seen that. If you help me with the date when we have seen that, I could replay the recordings.
Uh, which one? Which exactly you are asking about? This AWS account, when I was talking about this connecting with Mova Extreme and all that?
Yes, yes. Even I was going to ask this.
Yes, I have explained this, right?
No, Tanvi, not this one. The append operation you have explained, right? You have told that we have seen that in the Linux thing.
Up operation,
Append.
append operation, right? Append
Yeah.
operation will be in the form of files, right? So simply if you are writing this cat or maybe if there is an existing file, so if I could write this is a sample file. Okay, and you could append this. So it will append to the existing file, maybe index.html. So it will be adding the contents to the file. We have seen this redirection operators, right? We have did this.
That is my concern. So I am not remembering whether we have seen this or
Oh,
not.
no.
So yeah.
We did it multiple times. We did this. Just in the notepad files, you could search for this symbol. You will be able to see that in the history commands. You will be able to see. This is for the append operation.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm stop sharing my screen here. Let me launch the poll. Okay, please provide your valuable feedback. After this feedback, those don't who have any queries, they could leave the session, and Sujal and Priya and anyone those who will be having any concerns, they could stay on the call. Definitely, I will be resolving all your concerns.
And also, Tanvi, I have asked about the AZ140 dumps. So whether were you able
Oh,
to
is
find
it
that?
150 terms? Yeah. Skipped off my mind. Yeah.
Okay, no.
Give me
You can
some
check and let.
time. Yes. I will search tomorrow. I think I do have, but I need to check exactly in which drive I have placed.
Yeah, sure, Tanvi. No issues. You can take
Yeah,
your.
I will share. I will share. I have another dumps as well, AWS. If you want, if you are interested, I could also share AWS dumps as well. Okay, thank you so much for your active participation. Thank you so much for the valuable feedback. It matters a lot to me and my team. Now, one by one, you could go with your queries, please. Yes, Suja?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. The thing the Priya was discussing
Uh-huh.
in the when we were creating a virtual VMSs
Yes.
in
Could you
the
please share your screen, Suja, so that I will
yeah,
able
ma'am.
to understand?
Yeah, ma'am. Is it visible?
Yes, it's visible. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. This thing.
Okay. I just want to understand which service, which subscription do you have? Free tier account, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Free tier account. Okay. Could you scroll up little? I just want to see from the very start. Okay, you have selected virtual machine skill set, your subscription. Could you drop down in the subscription? Just expand the drop down. Okay, this is my subscription. Resource group. You have created resource group. Okay,
Yeah,
select
ma'am.
any of the resource group, please. Give any name to the skill set. Okay, availability zones, nothing, it's not required. No, nothing, not required. Scaling mode manually, auto scaling will be done on this. Subscription needs Microsoft Insights registration to. Okay. We will do this. We'll do this. Just duplicate this Microsoft page. Yeah, could you please go to the Microsoft Entra ID or directly go to the subscription? It's okay. Go to your subscription, please. Yeah, click on the Azure subscription. Scroll down little. No, in the middle one. In the middle one, when there is having options, right? In the billing,
This
setting, cost management. Could you please come down? Yeah, go to the resource providers. No, resource providers. Yes. Click on this. Okay. Now go to the first tab, the another tab which was open. No, the tab one. Yes. Now it is asking you to enable, uh, select this Microsoft Insights, Microsoft.insights. Just copy and paste Microsoft Insight. Yeah, in the other tab.
yeah.
Yeah, search here. Yes, click on this. No, you have to enable this button. Yes. Now click on register. Earlier it was not like this. With free tier account, we don't need to register. Now Microsoft has made
Actually, ma'am, I
too
have
many
tried this thing.
pages. You have tried? It's
Yes,
okay.
ma'am, the registering thing I have tried. Even I have did the re-register, but it was showing the
Oh,
same.
it was showing the same. Okay, let's do that. No issues. Could you go back to your virtual machine skill set? This is your free tier account, Sujal, right? You are getting
Yeah.
$200.
Can you please check? Like, I am having confusion a little bit, but
Okay,
I'm sure.
no problem. It's okay. We will just stay on this page, no problem. First, let this will be completed. It's in the registering process. Could you do that refresh here? Okay, it's still going on.
Yeah,
Please
it took
go.
2 minutes.
Yeah, please go to the third tab. The third tab which you have opened, Microsoft Azure.
1 second, I'm hide.
Yeah, it's okay. No issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please go to the subscriptions. Go to the subscriptions. Just stay on this page. I want to see. Okay, you have balance. Please click on this Azure subscription. Click on Azure subscription. Okay. You're remaining 190 in credit. You have enough credits. It's not an issue. Okay. Go back to the second tab. I think it is registered now. Go to the first tab, please. Do a refresh here. Do a reload to this complete page. Select any resource group. Your virtual machine skill set name.
Now it's appearing.
No,
Thank you, ma'am.
no problem. Any other questions, Suja?
Yeah, ma'am, this one also.
Standards queue, 4 CPU are required for this configuration, but 2 CPUs Family CPU. Okay. Show me the region which you have selected. The region Central India. Central India will be having some quota restriction. Select any other region. East US. Okay. Come down. No issues. Could you just click on select up to 5 sizes? Yeah. You could expand D series only. Just a little scroll up. Yeah, yeah. Any D series could you expand? Yes. Take the minimum configurations. This is the D generation family.
I should take the 4 right?
Take anyone with the minimum configurations. Take that.
Should I?
Yeah, yes, go. See. Now it's taking, right?
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, next thing, 1 minute. Yeah, ma'am. Now it's good because in the networking also, na, it was showing nothing. Like I was not able to click anyone of it.
Yeah,
So
because
now
that was
it's
its size skew was not selected, so that is the issue. Now I
okay.
think there will not be any validation issues. You
And
could
ma'am,
create.
one more thing.
Yeah, please go ahead.
And the previous lecture,
Uh-huh.
we were dealing with this
Spacing,
problem, right?
spacing. Get AZ subscription, no space in between get and AZ.
Mm, Oh, thank you very much, ma'am. Like,
No issues. That's all,
thank you, ma'am.
Sujan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Priya, please go ahead.
I think she's not here.
She's not here. Is that? I guess she has left the call. I think she's also facing the same issue with
Yeah,
virtual.
she was having the same now.
I think she's also talking about other. Okay, then maybe tomorrow we could discuss. Any other queries from the participants?
Ramya,
Yes, all good.
curriculum
Yeah,
will be
please.
having the Linux as well, right?
I'm sorry, please, Sarfraz, come again.
Yeah, as part of this curriculum, we'll be having the Linux syllabus as well, right?
Sarfraz, Linux sessions are already over, right? You have attended that Linux sessions, right?
No, Tanvi. So we are attending only the Azure for the first time. Not sure.
Uh-huh. Because before this Azure, there was already a DevOps batch was going on. We have already covered the Linux and everything we have covered. Let me share my screen. Just give me only one moment. I think maybe
Okay.
you have enrolled only into the Azure. That could be the reason, Sarfraz.
No, I have enrolled into multi-cloud DevOps thing.
Okay, then maybe you will be adding to some other batch after some time. I think this thing you need to confirm with your Spock because I'm not
Okay.
very sure about this.
Okay. Okay. I thought that this is a whole thing. No issues. I can talk to the operation team.
Yes, you could talk to them. If something is there, definitely I will help you out. But
Yeah.
I think because I'm not very sure about this.
Okay, then yeah, I can check with you. No issues.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes,
one
yes,
more thing.
please.
The PPTs you are using to teach us,
Hmm.
can you provide us?
Sujal here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Sujal, actually, that was a presentation slide deck from the standard Microsoft course. due to the copyright policy, we are as a trainer, Microsoft trainers, we are not supposed to share.
Oh, okay, okay,
But
okay.
already I have shared that documents, everything I have shared. In my
No,
own
no.
slide deck, we have already created. Are
In
you able to
the
access that? I have created the slide deck for each of the module.
in the Google Drive, right?
Yeah, in the Google Drive. Let me share my screen and show you. I hope you are able to see my screen, right? Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
if I go to my drive and this is the DevOps training, evening batch. In the evening batch, uh, just to the Azure. Yeah, could you able to access this custom labs folder?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So in the custom labs, if you go to the second one folder, AZ204, I have created all the PPTs. You could refer to this slide deck. Everything is there. This is similar. Whatever we are covering in our Microsoft through the Microsoft slide deck, everything is there. You could refer to this.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Anything
ma'am.
else,
Thank you.
please?
No, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
No issues. Okay, team. Thank you so much. Bye. Thanks. Thanks for joining the session. Let's meet then tomorrow.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.